What's going on, everybody? My name is Bendy, and this is Doomlings. So today, we're going to be going through each of the 5 expansions that are currently available as of recording this video. Each of them you can get on the Doomlings website, either via the getting the deluxe box, or if you have the Walmart version or the basic version, you can get them on the Doomlings website as well as just regular expansions. There is 5 expansions. All of them come in one package, so you can't buy each of the expansions separately. They all just come in one thing. So
for those of you that are deciding whether to get the deluxe box or the expansions, this should be the video for you. Let's get started with, you have 4 of them that are kind of just for your regular gameplay, and one is kind of just a new way to play the game, so we're going to get into that one last. But we have the Dinolings, we have the Mythlings, we have the Techlings, and then we have Duo Color, and then last we have the Meaning of Life cards. So we're going to get into the Meaning of Life cards last. So we're going to begin with the 3 that I call the Ling cards, I guess you can call them. So each of the Ling cards, they just all end with Ling, so I'm just going to call them that. They have 18 or 19 cards in them. Each of them has a dominant, an age, a catastrophe, and 15 or 16 traits. The Mythling one is weird and has 16 traits in it for some reason. The other 2 have 15, so I don't know. And then lastly, we have the Duo Color here, which has, I believe, 8 cards. I'm honestly not sure if Motley here comes in it. I want to say it does, but you guys will have to correct me on that. Motley has been replaced completely with Wild at this point, so if you get the deluxe box or the expansions now, you're going to get Wild. But Motley is a Duo Color card anyways, so I included it just because I wasn't 100% sure. But anyways, we're going to put that to the side for now. Let's start with the Techlings. The Techlings, they have kind of an overall theme of having attachments. Attachments are kind of a weird little expansion thing, and basically how attachments work is you attach it to any trait that's on the field, and you either give it some kind of boost, or it makes it so that the card can't be discarded, or something like that. Something to note with the attachments is, so you just attach it to a trait just like that, and you get the effect that it says right there. For example, with Lionization here, I'm going to attach it to Curiosity. What this means is that this card doesn't have an effect, but say it did, then it would just get rid of that effect. So what you could do with this card is put it on an opponent's trait and make it so that their effect is inactive. And with attachments, they basically become 1 once you attach them. However, you do get the points from both the cards. So once you attach the card to the other trait, they're stuck together forever. So if you steal the card or you discard them, you discard both of them at the same time. You can't just steal Lionization. They both come as a package, basically. So they're stuck together for the rest of the game until they get discarded or something like that. So that is how the attachments work. So the dominant that you're going to get with the Techlings is going to be Ruggedized. And Ruggedized is kind of a weird card, definitely a little bit confusing, but basically you just attach it to any trait on your field, or any field, I guess. It just says a trait, so I guess you could attach it to an opponent, but I don't know why you would want to. But anyways, the card that you attach this to cannot be removed from the trait pile once you attach it. So say, again, we have Curiosity on the field, we attach Ruggedized to it, and Curiosity cannot be discarded at any point. So if an opponent wanted to get rid of Curiosity, they couldn't do that while Ruggedized is there. It is still a dominant card, so it still takes up one of your 2 spots. However, you want to play the attachment thing. I haven't actually played Ruggedized before in a game, so I'm not exactly sure how I would do it, but I would probably just say that Ruggedized is attached to Curiosity like this, just so I don't forget and put an extra dominant, because you still only get 2 dominants even if Ruggedized is there. Some folks might just put Ruggedized there, and then that leaves the open spot. Just remember that you still have Ruggedized as one of your dominants. But that's Ruggedized in a nutshell. The age that you're going to get with the Techlings is going to be Age of Metadata, and also just, I forgot to mention before, the Techlings have like a little symbol up here that looks kind of like a couple of gears, so you can tell what the Techling expansions are, in case you want to take them out of the deck or something like that. But basically all Age of Metadata does is it says play the age with the hand revealed. So say I had this as my hand, that's how I would play. Everybody plays their hand for this turn like that. Not a crazy card, it's just whatever. That's the age that you're going to get with the Techling expansion, and then the catastrophe that you're going to get is Bioengineered Plague. So Bioengineered Plague is going to give you -1 gene pool, as most of the catastrophes do. Some of them give you a +1, some of them don't change it at all, but most of them give you -1, just throwing it out there. But if it's not the end of the world, each player is going to choose a color, and the player to the left of you has to discard all of their cards of that color. So you're going to go around the table, and I'm going to say select blue, and any card that they have in their hand that's blue, they have to get rid of. And then every person's going to select a different color as you go around the table before you start your turn. So there's that, and then if it's the world end, which means it's the third catastrophe that appears in the game, or more if you're doing a longer game, everybody is going to discard one random trait from whatever pile they have the most of. So if they have mostly red in their trait pile, then they're going to get rid of one of those reds randomly. That's what you're going to get for the Techlings. Let's go through some of the interesting traits that is included in the Techling expansion. So I already talked about lionization a little bit. The next one we got is Gray Hat, which basically just allows you to steal a card from an opponent and play it immediately. We have Nano, which kind of is a little bit less interesting, honestly, now that I think about it, but I decided to talk about it anyways. But Nano attaches to a trait, and Nano's value is equal to the face value of that trait. So say that you attach Nano to Curiosity again. So now Nano has a value of 1. If you have a card that is really strong on your trait pile, you can attach Nano to that and it'll be really cool. Another thing that I forgot to mention with attachments is the attachments cannot attach to a dominant, something to note. So let's move on to the one that I think is the most interesting, which is going to be Gmo. Basically, you attach it to a trait and you get +1 for each of the traits in your trait pile of the color that you attach to. So something pretty cool though with Gmo is, we'll go back to the Curiosity example. You attach it to Curiosity, you're going to get +1 from both blue and red at the same time. So if you have a lot of blues and a lot of reds, this Gmo is really going to add up to a really big score. So if you have a dual color card on your trait pile or in your hand or something, definitely recommend trying to play Gmo with it. It's not always going to work out that way, but just something I thought was really cool and interesting with Gmo, and probably one of the best cards in the Techling expansion. Then we have Mecha here. This one will let you play another effectless trait.
Pause. I didn't realize this until I was editing, actually, but apparently they changed Mecha in the newer versions of the game, so now you actually attach it to an effectless trait, and it gives you +1 for each effectless trait that is in your trait pile. So if you have a lot of effectless traits on your field, this could really add up to a pretty big score, actually. So this might actually compete with Gmo for one of the better cards in the Techlings expansion.
Subdermal Plating is another attachment card, and this one makes it so that the card that you attach to cannot be discarded. So kind of cool, just to protect a card that you have on your field. So these two, Transgenic Modification and Cybernetic, these ones are pretty much the exact same card. Transgenic makes it so that the attached card turns green, and Cybernetic makes it so that the attached card turns blue. And then we have Hypermyelinization. This one's really hard to say. Hypermyelination. So the value of this one is just equal to the highest gene pool. So you're just going to go around the table at the end of the game, and whoever has the highest gene pool, that's what the value of hypermyelination is going to be. And that's pretty much it for those. I'm going to quickly show you guys what the rest of them are. Those are the ones that I think are the best in the Techling expansion. The rest of them are going to be Bone Reinforcement,
which has an effect now in newer versions of the game that says that the card that you attach it to cannot be swapped or stolen.
Bionic Arm, which gives you +1 for each Techling in your trait pile. So if you happen to have a lot of Techlings on your field, Bionic Arm could be pretty good. Otherwise, I don't think it's really super great, just because I feel like the odds of you having a lot of Techlings are pretty slim, unless you have some way of searching for them or something like that. But also of note is you can attach something to Bionic Arm, and it'll double the amount of points that you get for each Techling on your trait pile. So that could be kind of a cool little combo, I guess. Then you have Neuralink, which takes a peek at the next 2 ages. Electromagnetic.
Attach to a trait in any trait pile and play its action now.
Freakish Eyes, draw 3 cards. And Binary, which you guys already saw in my How to Play Doomlings video, but this one you just steal a card of 0 or 1 value. So that is the Techling expansion right there. I think the Techlings are very interesting. Attaching is pretty cool. I hope they add more attachment cards, honestly, with the upcoming expansions that they're coming out with on the Kickstarter. If you didn't see that yet, I made a video about it the other day, so go check that out. Let's move on to the Dinolings. Dinolings, they don't really have much of a theme. I did notice, though, that a lot of the effects that are on the Dinolings have a lot to do with discarding or taking from the discard pile or something like that. I guess that makes sense though with the Dinolings, just because they're dinosaurs, so they're extinct, right? So you go to the discard pile because they're going extinct, and you grab from the discard pile because they are extinct, so it's maybe like getting a fossil or something like that. I don't know. Maybe you guys in the Doomlings team can let me know if I'm on the right track there, but that's kind of just what I noticed as the kind of theme, but they don't actually say that there's any theme with the Dinolings. But anyways, the dominant that you're going to get is Carnosaur Jaw. I have 2 of them just because I got it as a holofoil with my deluxe box, but you're only going to get 1 of them regularly unless you got the holofoil for it. But Carnosaur Jaw is the dominant. I honestly don't really think this is that great of a card. It gives you a huge score of 9, but you have to discard 2 red traits in order to play it. So that is kind of a big downside. Plus it's a dominant, so it's going to take up one of your slots. So I don't really think that Carnosaur Jaw is that great. I've had it in my hand plenty of times, and I feel like I have a very hard time either playing it because I don't have enough reds that I want to get rid of, or I just already used my dominant space and I don't really want to use it. So then the age that you're going to get is Badlands. Badlands has everybody discard a card, and then you shuffle the discard pile, and you deal 1 card face down to each player. Let's say this first dominant is the discard pile, so everyone's going to discard a card. So let's say that this duo color is the discard pile. You're going to shuffle it up, and then you're going to go around the table and blah, blah, blah. Everyone gets a card. That's it. And then the rest of them, obviously, you just go back to the discard pile. That's going to be that. And then the catastrophe that you're going to get is Impact Event. Impact Event, you get -1 gene pool. You discard a card from your hand for each dominant trait in your trait pile. So everybody's going to go around. However many dominants you have on your field is the amount of cards that you have to discard. So if you have no dominants, then you don't have to discard anything. If you have 2, then you discard 2 before you start your turn. If it's World's End, the effect is going to be -1 for each trait in your trait pile that is a face value of 3 or more. So if you have a bunch of cards that are 3 points or higher, then you're going to lose a lot of points in this game. So that kind of sucks. So those are the dominant ages and catastrophe that are in the Dinoling set. Let's talk about some of the traits that I thought were pretty interesting. So first up, we have Tiny Arms. Tiny Arms get +1 for each Dinoling in the discard pile. This one could be good, could be not good, depending on how many Dinolings have been played in the game. Proto Feathers here. We got play 2 additional traits. This one lets you play 3 cards in 1 turn. Just keep in mind that you ignore the actions of the additional cards that you play. And then we have Bony Plates. This one, opponents may draw 1 card if they reveal a Dinoling. So this one, they don't have to do it, but just allows everybody to play a card, and it lets you see who has Dinolings if you are, say, playing a card like Tiny Arms or something like that to combo with it. So it could be just a good way to see who has Dinolings in the game. So then we got Thagomizer.
Inconceivable!
All players must discard 2 cards from their hand, including yourself. So discard 2 cards. I mean, I guess if you're trying to get those Dinolings from Bony Plates out of the game, there you go. There's a way to do it. Next up, we have Pterosaur Wings.
So this one, in the Kickstarter version of the game, it allows you to play an additional purple trait if you have it in your hand. In newer versions of the game, you can play 1 effectless trait from the discard pile.
Next one, we have Elongated Neck. I see this one pop up a lot on the social medias as far as being confusing. This one just says that you play an action from a card in your hand. Let's say I have Egg Predation here, the next card that I'm going to be talking about, in my hand. I can play the Steal a Dinoling from an opponent's trait pile action of this card, and I don't actually play it on the field at that point. It just stays in my hand. I just play the action. So potentially I could steal 2 Dinolings with the 1 card, basically. So Elongated Neck, you don't play the action card on your trait pile, you just play it from your hand. Next one, we have what I think is the most difficult one to pronounce in the whole game. Pycnofibers? See, I thought it was Psychofibers, which makes sense, but what the heck is a Pycno? Let me know. This one says you draw a card. If it is a dominant, you discard it. If it is not, you can play it immediately. So that's kind of cool. Hopefully you don't draw a dominant. Otherwise, You get to play an extra card, basically. Terror Beak. To play, you have to discard a green trait
from your hand or trait pile.
So, not that great, but you get 3 points for it, so that's kind of decent. But those are kind of the most interesting ones. Let's go through the rest of them. Serrated Teeth.
+1 for each dominant trait in the discard pile.
Cranial Crest.
+1 for every negative face value trait in the discard pile.
We got Dermal Armor. You can discard a trait from your trait pile. This one, you don't have to do the action because it says may. Just keep that in mind. Ceratopsian, that one's hard to say too. Ceratopsian Horns. And then we have Talons, another effectless card. And then lastly, we have Fronds. You have to discard a trait from your trait pile to play, but you get +2 gene pool. So I've played this one a few times. It's pretty good. All right, so those are the Dinolings. Let's move on to the last of the 3 lings, which are the Mythlings. Now, the Mythlings, these ones play around being mischievous. This one plays around a lot with stealing, swapping, discarding, and just kind of messing with people in general. That's kind of the theme of Mythlings. The dominant that you're going to get with the Mythlings, the Mythlings have this little, I guess, Loch Ness Monster looking symbol to let you know that they're Mythlings. Also, the Dinolings, they have a little dinosaur egg in the corner for their symbol. But the dominant you're going to get is Legendary. Legendary, you discard your hand and you don't stabilize. So this one gives you a huge 8 points, but you have to discard your entire hand to play it. If it's like one of the last turns of the game and you just want to throw away a bunch of your cards, or you have a bunch of cards that you don't really care about, that'd be a good way to get a lot of points. The age you're going to get with the Mythlings is going to be Osmorian Winds. After you stabilize, pass 1 card to your left. The catastrophe you're going to get with the Mythlings is going to be Eyes Open from Behind the Stars. This one you guys saw in my How to Play Doomlings video as well, but this one gives you -1 gene pool, and if it's not World's End, you discard a card from your hand, and players who discarded the lowest face value must also discard another card from their trait pile. Nothing too crazy there. World's End effect, though, you get to discard your highest face value trait from your trait pile to the Old God. I don't know what the Old God is, but I'm assuming that means just the discard pile. And just so you guys know, in case you weren't sure, face value just means that the amount on the actual card itself, not with additional points added. So if you have a card that is -1, but it gets more points for each card, the face value is still -1. The additional points don't count towards that for that. Let's talk about some of the cards that I thought were pretty interesting in the Mythlings. First up, we have Righteous. This one, you can play Righteous from your hand at any time to stop an action. So this one, if somebody's playing a card that you don't like, that screws you over, this one will just kind of protect you a little bit. Next, we have Gelatinous. This one lets you
play Gelatinous when an opponent steals from your hand or trait pile.
This one also says may, so you don't have to do the action. Next up, we have Necromantic. This one I play quite a bit, and I see played quite a bit. You can play Necromantic from your hand when an opponent discards a trait and add that trait to your hand. If you see one of your opponents discarding a card that you want to steal, you can play Necromantic really quick. Necromantic and Righteous are both quick action cards, so you don't have to play it during your turn, as does this card Witchy here. Is also a quick play card. This one says that you can play it when it is discarded from your trait pile. So after you play it, if you have a card that decides to discard it, or you have or somebody else discards it, then it just goes back to your hand and you get to play it again, basically. And then the last one that I thought was pretty interesting in the Mythlings set is Elven Ears, and this one just gets +1 for every Mythlings in the whole game in all trait piles. So that could add up to pretty big score. Then the rest of them that I thought were a little bit less interesting, but I will note them anyways. Mighty. Discard a card from an opponent's trait pile with a face value of 2. Ancient.
This one, they completely changed on me. So Ancient, actually, in the new versions of the game, you choose a color and you draw 10 cards and you pick one of the traits that are of that color that you picked, and then you put the rest at the bottom of the deck. In the old version of the card, you pick up all cards from the deck until you draw a Mythling, and then you add that to your hand and put the rest in the bottom of the deck. So I think that the new version is definitely a lot better than the old one.
We got Fae, everybody gets +1 gene pool. Dragonheart, +4 if you have all 4 colors in your trait pile. So this could be up to 5 points if you have a lot of colors. I feel like everybody, by the end of the game, I feel like everybody kind of just has at least one of every color on the field, but maybe not. This one, Effectless, is going to be Destined, just an Effectless card. Ephegial, you guys saw in the first video. You can play Ephegial from your hand to an opponent's trait pile, and they just get -3. So you can just play that to an opponent's trait pile to screw them over, basically, and piss them off and give them -3. You got Rainbow Horn. At the end of the game, Rainbow Horn becomes whatever color you have the most of in your trait pile, which could come in handy, especially for cards that give you +1 for a certain color. You got Orcish Orcish Tusks.
Play Orcish Tusks when an opponent plays a dominant trait.
We have another Effectless one, Diaphanous Wings. We got Zombified, which I also see quite a bit played. You can play Zombified into an opponent's trait pile when it is discarded from your hand. So this is kind of, sort of like Witchy in a way. But this one, you can play it into an opponent and give them -2 when you discard this. And then the last one we have is Effectless Icy. So those are all the Mythlings. And also the last of the 3 Ling expansions. So let's check out the duo color. This will be a really quick one. So the duo colors, pretty simple. Each of them, they're all effectless. They just have 2 different colors. So we have one of every combo, I think, of the colors. I don't really know why Acrobatic has a point of 2, while the rest of them don't. I don't know. Acrobatic is cooler, I guess. But those are the duo colors. The only thing that's cool about them is for if you have multiple traits that give you +1 for having a certain color, this actually counts for both of them simultaneously. And like I mentioned earlier, you have an example like Gmo, where if you attach Gmo to one of these cards, you can give yourself even more points for Gmo. Then the last one you have is Free Will. This world's end, you get to pick what color you want this one to be. That's kind of neat.
That's pretty neat!
And then, like I said earlier, I'm not 100% sure if Motley or Wild are a part of this expansion, but they are multicolor. So this one is an effectless card, even though it looks like it has an effect. It's just all 4 colors at once, and it's a dominant, gives you 4 points. Just like the rest of them, counts for all 4 colors simultaneously for all point totals. So it might not seem that great on the surface, but if you have a lot of cards that give you +1 for having certain colors or something like that, then this will be a really good dominant for you to play, especially at the end of the game. So those are the duo colors. That's probably the easiest one to explain. And then last but not least, we have the Meaning of Life cards. Pretty simple. All the Meaning of Life cards is they're just cards that you secretly give to every player at the beginning of the game. When you are setting up the game, you're going to shuffle the pile and you're going to pass everybody 2 cards. So say we have a 3-player game. They're going to look at them, select which one they want, and all it really does is it gives you kind of just goals to work towards to give you more bonus points at the end of the game. So for example, we got Fellmonger here. This one says you get +3 if you have only 1 or 2 blue traits in your trait pile, and +6 if you have none. So say we selected Fellmonger, you have the ideal in your mind that you don't want to play blue traits in order to get bonus points. So you're going to hide this from your opponents and don't let them see it. And by the end of the game, you will reveal them at World's End, and everyone will be like, oh, that's why you didn't play any blue cards. What the heck, man? And you get +6. There you go. There is 18 different ones. Most of them have 2 different requirement thingies, just like that other one that I explained earlier. Most of them have +3 if you do 1 task and +6 if you do the harder part of it. There's 2 different ones though. We have the Weaver. This one says +3 for each set of all 4 colors. So what that means is every red, green, blue, and purple that you have on your field, you're going to count that as a full set. So you get +3 for each of those sets that you have. And another cool thing is Motley counts as 1 by itself. So if you have Weaver as your sign, then Motley would be a really good card to play, so you get more bonus points from that. Or also if you have a odd number, so like say you had 2 full sets and then you have like a red, blue, green, but not the purple, you can use Motley as your purple. And then you can also do it for a blue, a green, and a red for the purpose of that. And the other one that's different than the rest of them is the Dancer. This one gives you +12 if you have the fewest points before the Meaning of Life bonus. So this one would be if you want to go for the low score. But this one's really risky because you could get way too low of a score and then not make up the points with the +12. So This one's kind of risky. I don't know if I would pick that, honestly, if I had that as one of my options. But all the rest of them are basically, you get 2, 3, or 4 points as the lesser requirement, and then either 6, 7, or 8 as the harder. And all of them are basically the exact same. So that's all the meaning of life is. Just a little bonus thing to work towards at the end of the game. I enjoy playing with them. They're pretty fun, but you don't have to play with those at all. These don't go in the deck or anything like that. They just stay to the side, separated from the rest of the cards. But yeah, that is all of the expansions. That's all the cards that you're going to get in the expansions if you decide to get it for yourself. Yes, they all fit in the box even after you put them in sleeves. So I'm going to put this all back in my box here and get it back into shuffled state. And I hope you guys enjoy your Doomlings fun, and that's going to be it for this video. Definitely give me a like, subscribe, comment if you enjoyed this video and you want to see some more Doomlings content. I'm going to get out of here. I forgot to put these back in. Whoopsies. I'm gonna need a bigger box once we get these other expansions, though. I'm gonna get out of here. So, peace.